Have you ever walked into a room and instantly felt your energy drop, without anyone saying a word? It's like someone's very presence pulls the light right out of the space. You try to stay grounded, keep your peace, but they show up with their sarcasm, guilt trips, and a twisted sense of humor that cuts deep beneath the surface. It's exhausting, isn't it? Today we're not sugarcoating anything. We're calling out the behaviors that slowly poison your soul. And the worst part? They often come from the people closest to you. Yes, even from the ones you call family. This conversation won't be comfortable. It's not supposed to be. Growth rarely is. But if you've ever walked away from a conversation feeling smaller, doubting yourself, or just plain drained, then this is the video you didn't know you needed. These are the boundaries you should have set a long time ago. And if it stings a little, that's good. It means the truth is hitting where it needs to. Before we dive into it, if you're the kind of person who values clarity over chaos, self-mastery over victimhood, and wisdom over noise, then you'll love my free weekly newsletter. Every Sunday, I send out life lessons rooted in Stoicism, mindset growth, and unapologetic truth. It's real, it's raw, and it's designed to help you cut through the BS and level up. Want in? Hit the link below. Start your week with purpose. And hey, if you're a brand looking to reach a highly intentional audience, people who think, who question, who grow, check out the email in the description. Let's build something real, something that matters. Now, grab your drink, settle in, and get ready. Because what you're about to hear might just change how you look at the people in your life, and maybe how you look at yourself. Passive-aggressive comments disguised as jokes. Let's start with something seemingly harmless but secretly corrosive passive-aggressive jokes. Ever met someone who can slice through your confidence with a smile on their face? They lean back, laugh, and hit you with lines that sound like jokes but feel like jabs. You know exactly who I mean. They say things like, "Oh wow, you're wearing that, bold move. Look at you actually finishing something. I guess miracles do happen, huh? Starting another side hustle? All right, Mr. Entrepreneur." And everyone laughs, including you. Because what else are you supposed to do? Call them out and look too sensitive? Stir up tension in the middle of brunch? So you fake a chuckle, swallow your pride, and tell yourself it was probably nothing. But here's the truth: it's not nothing. It's a slow, sneaky erosion of your self-worth. These comments don't just sting in the moment. They echo. They chip away at your confidence, and they're crafted that way on purpose. The real danger? These jokes come with a built-in defense mechanism. If you dare to react, they flip the script on you. "Relax, I was just kidding. Geez, lighten up." Translation: I want to disrespect you without being held accountable for it. That's not humor. That's manipulation disguised as playfulness. And it's the same mind game bullies used to play in high school. Except now they're grown adults with LinkedIn profiles and oat milk lattes. Let me tell you when I finally stopped tolerating it. A few years back, I had a friend. Let's call him Jake. Jake was quick with his wit. He always had a roast ready, always had the room laughing. But there was venom in the punchlines. Whenever I shared my goals, whether it was launching a podcast or starting a YouTube channel, he'd drop lines like, "Oh wow, another project? How long will this one last? Better practice your fake influencer voice. You're gonna need it." People laughed, I laughed. But inside, a tiny voice whispered, "Maybe he's right." And every time I believed that voice, a part of me shrank. Until one day I didn't. I was getting ready to launch a podcast I'd poured my heart into. I was proud of it. I was finally backing myself. And then came Jake's jab. "So what? You famous now? Better start practicing your fake laugh." That was it. Something inside me snapped. Not in anger, but in clarity. I realized that no matter how close someone is, no matter how long you've known them, you have the right to protect your peace. You have the right to say, "That's not okay." Because Every time you let a comment like that slide, you're teaching yourself to accept less. And that stops today. Let's pick up where we left off. Remember that moment when someone laughed at your dream and you forced yourself to laugh with them, just to keep the peace. Yeah, those moments pile up, but eventually you reach a breaking point where fake laughs feel more painful than silence. And when you finally speak up, everything changes. I remember pausing, locking eyes with Jake and saying, "Do you ever support your friends without sarcasm, or is that just not your love language?" He blinked, smiled awkwardly, tried to laugh. It off, of course. But in that silence I saw something clearly for the first time. If you constantly have to translate someone's words just to avoid being hurt, you are not in a safe space. That's not friendship. That's emotional warfare in disguise. Here's what I need you to understand deeply. When someone takes passive-aggressive shots at you and hides behind "just kidding," it's not on you to grow thicker skin. That's a lie. That's the trap. You don't need thicker skin. You need stronger boundaries. You need the wisdom to know what deserves your laughter and what deserves your silence. Not every joke deserves a smile. Some deserve a raised eyebrow and/or your absence. Because let's be real, these jokes, they're rarely about comedy. They're about control. They're tools for insecure people to flex in public without doing the hard work of honest communication. It's a lazy, low-energy power play, a performance rooted in envy, fear, and self-doubt. Think about it. When was the last time someone ahead of you in life mocked you for trying? It never happens, because confident people don't tear down others. Only the ones trailing behind do that. Now here's where it cuts deeper. Passive aggression is often a product of poor emotional education. Some people never learned how to say "I'm scared" or "I feel small next to you." So what do? They coat their insecurities in sarcasm. But let's be clear, that's their emotional homework, not yours. You are not their therapist. You are not responsible for decoding their dysfunction. That's not your weight to carry, so what now? You've seen the pattern. You're done being the joke. Here are a few power moves. Call it out, gently or directly. Try this. "You're really into roasting me lately. Everything good?" Or, "And that felt more like a dig than a joke. What's up?" Say it, then let the silence speak for you. Don't fill the gap, don't laugh, let it hang. That awkward silence? That's their problem now, not yours. Set the standard. Next, time you meet up, start with this. "Hey, I love joking around, but lately it feels like the jokes have been hitting a little too close to home. Let's keep it light, yeah?" And if they roll their eyes, call you sensitive, or gaslight you into feeling guilty, just smile, sip your drink, and say, "Or maybe you're just not as funny as you think." Then get up and leave. Because being the butt of the joke over time makes you feel like you are the joke. And that's not okay. You deserve conversations where you don't flinch. Laughter that lifts, not belittles. Relationships where you don't need a decoder ring just to survive a dinner. Life's too short for emotional landmines disguised as humor. Let's be clear. I love sarcasm. I love dark humor. But not when it's punching down. Not when it's masked cruelty. So here it is, your permission slip. Stop laughing at what hurts. Start enforcing standards that heal. Have you ever dealt with someone like this? What did you do, or what do you wish you'd done differently? Drop your story in the comments. Let's call this behavior out together. No more silence. All right, let's move on. Let's be very clear about one thing right now. If someone makes you feel bad for protecting your peace, they were never invested in your well-being to begin with. Guilt-tripping someone for setting boundaries is like trying to pick a lock and then acting offended when the alarm goes off. That's not love, that's intrusion. And here's where it gets personal. Raise your hand if you've ever said no to a favor, a phone call, an invitation you didn't have the energy for and immediately got hit with, "Oh, so you're too good for us now?" Or, "Wow, you must be really busy these days." We all make time for what we care about. You've changed. Yeah, you have changed, because you got tired of burning yourself out for people who wouldn't even light a candle for you in return. That's how guilt tripping works. It's subtle, wrapped in emotional manipulation disguised as concern, and it always punishes you for choosing yourself. Let's make this controversial. Family does this the most. Yep, I said it. The people most likely to guilt trip you are often the ones with your last name. And I'm not here to pretend that blood makes anyone immune to being called out. In some families, there's this unspoken rule. Your time is ours. Your energy belongs to the group. Your boundaries optional. I remember my cousin once told me, "You never call unless you need something." And I replied, "Funny, I was just thinking the same about you." Mic dropped. Let's get brutally honest for a second. Just because someone changed your diapers doesn't give them lifetime access to manipulate you as an adult. Years ago, I started implementing firmer boundaries, especially on weekends. Sundays were sacred. No unexpected calls, no long emotional rants at 2 a.m. I was in survival mode. I wasn't being selfish. I was recovering from burnout. But guess what happened? One of my closest friends looked at me and said, "Ever since you got all into self-care or whatever, you've become distant. Self-care or whatever." I wasn't trying to be distant. I was trying not to fall apart. And you're upset because I wouldn't come to your brunch. That moment hit me hard. Because it revealed something ugly. Some people only value you when you're easy, available, and constantly sacrificing. The second you say no, they act like you've betrayed them. Let's break that down. When someone guilt trips you for setting a boundary, what they're really saying is, "Your independence no longer benefits me." They don't miss you. They miss the version of you who over-explained, overgave, and overfunctioned. Not because they loved that version, but because it served them. And when that version disappears, they don't adjust. They attack. Sometimes it's passive aggression. Sometimes it's fake concern. Sometimes it's full-on drama. Let's laugh. For a second, because some guilt trips are just plain absurd, I guess you're too busy with your self-love journey now. Should I schedule time to hate myself so we can hang out? Must be nice to have the luxury of saying no. Actually, Cheryl, it's not a luxury. It's called not having a breakdown. You're different now? Good. That was the point, because your peace is not a group project. And listen carefully to this. You are not responsible for how other people respond to your boundaries. Let me say that again, louder. You are not responsible for how other people respond to your boundaries. Guilt-tripping someone for setting boundaries is like trying to pick a lock and then acting offended when the alarm goes off. That's not love, that's intrusion. You are not responsible for how people react to your boundaries. Say it again, louder, especially for the people-pleasers in the back. Your job is to protect your energy, your time, your mental health. Their job? To manage their emotions. If someone can't handle that, that's not your guilt to carry. That's their growth edge. And a boundary? It's not a betrayal. It's an act of love, both for yourself and, ironically, for them too. Because any relationship built on truth and mutual respect will always outlast one built on quiet resentment. So let's get practical. What do you actually say when someone tries to guilt trip you? Here are a few calm but powerful responses. "I'm sorry if this upsets you, but I'm doing what I need to take care of myself." Notice what you're doing here. You're acknowledging their emotion, but you're not apologizing for your boundary. That's a crucial difference. Or try, "If you can only feel close to me when I have no boundaries, that's not connection. That's dependency." Here's another. "I love you, but I'm not available for emotional manipulation. We can revisit this when you're ready to talk respectfully. And if you want to get a little spicy, say it straight. That sounds like a you problem." Now here's something no one tells you, something quiet yet incredibly powerful. Guilt is often a sign that you're finally doing the right thing. When you've spent your life being the giver, the fixer, the one who always shows up, saying no can feel like violence. But it's not. It's liberation. And the more you practice it, the easier it gets. You stop falling for the emotional traps. You stop playing the hero in everyone else's story at the cost of being the villain in your own. So choose your peace. Choose your sanity. Choose your damn self. Because real love, genuine love, celebrates your boundaries. It doesn't punish you for them. Have you ever been guilt-tripped for protecting your space, your energy, your time? How did you respond? Or how do you wish you had? Share your story in the comments. Let's talk about it. Let's make space for the boundaries that heal, only showing up when they need something. Let's talk about another behavior that flies under the radar until it drains you dry. You haven't heard from someone in months. No text, no memes. Not even a random emoji reaction to your Instagram story. Just silence, then suddenly they appear in your inbox. Hey, how have you been? Hope all is well. And before you can even respond, the follow-up hits. Quick question. Do you still have access to Canva Premium? Ah, there it is. The modern-day bat signal for, I don't miss you, I need you. Let's be honest. Some people treat you like a vending machine. You're not a friend to them, you're a resource. And the moment they need a favor, a reference, a last-minute connection, or someone to help them move their IKEA bookshelf or unload their relationship drama, they suddenly remember, you exist. It's not connection, it's convenience. And you deserve better than that. Let's talk about it. Because when someone keeps popping up only when they need something, without a trace of presence in between, it's more than just annoying. It's draining. There they are, warm, friendly, smiling, acting like they missed you. And at first it feels nice, familiar even. But then you realize it's not subtle, it's surgical. Some people have mastered the art of emotional manipulation. They wear fake warmth like a designer coat and deliver charm with the precision of a scalpel. Let's call it out. If someone only appears when they need something from you, they never valued you. They valued your utility. That's not friendship. That's not connection. That's a subscription service with free trials, and you're the free trial, and here's where it gets really uncomfortable. A lot of us enable this. Why? Because we confuse being needed with being loved. We tell ourselves, they reached out because they trust me. They must really respect my skills to ask. Hey, at least they thought of me. But no, thinking of you in desperation isn't affection. It's opportunism. Let me tell you about Mark. Mark and I used to be close, or at least I thought we were. We hung out, caught up now and then. But over time, I noticed something. He only ever reached out when he needed something. Hey, can you review this thing real quick? Yo, could you intro me to that person you know at the company? Got a second, need your advice. Every conversation, transactional, every message, a request. I started feeling less like a friend and more like a tool in his utility belt. So I tested it. I stopped reaching out, stopped checking in. I stopped offering help. 9 months of silence, then out of nowhere. Hey bro, long time no chat, quick favor. I didn't respond. And guess what? He never followed up, because the well had run dry. The truth? People who only show up when they need something aren't looking for connection. They're looking for extraction. They're often emotionally unavailable, operating through a lens of transaction, not relationship. And the more available you are, the more you let it slide, the more they think, oh cool, this person has no boundaries. I'll just circle back. When it's convenient. Let me be clear, this isn't about demonizing everyone who asks for help. Real friends lean on each other. But there's a difference, a big one. Real friendship is rooted in reciprocity, in presence, in care. A real friend checks in just to check in. A real friend remembers your birthday without asking for your resume. Let's laugh for a second, because some of the messages are just ridiculous. Hey bestie, haven't talked since 2019, but can you help me get a job at Google in 24 hours? You got me right. What? This isn't Amazon Prime, and I'm not your career genie or the classic, hey stranger. Nope, not today, block button. Activated. Let's stay with that energy for a moment, because once you realize you've been treated like a convenience store, open 24/7 for favors and emotional dumping, it's hard to unsee. So how do you deal with it like a boss? Start here. Don't respond immediately. Let them marinate in that awkward just checking in energy. Let the silence speak for you. Mirror their behavior. If they only message when they want something, you have every right to respond with the same level of enthusiasm. Sorry, not available. Hope all is well. Short, polite, boundaried, done. But sometimes, clarity is the best policy. Be direct. I've noticed we only really talk when you need something. That doesn't feel like a friendship to me. Uncomfortable, sure, but clarity is kindness. It gives them a chance to reflect and gives you the space to stop carrying dead weight. And listen, not everything requires a grand exit. You don't owe them a breakup speech. You don't need dramatic closure. Some people, they just don't get renewed for the next season of your life. Here's the deeper message. You are not a tool. You are a person. Stop confusing being useful with being valued. It's not your job to earn someone's attention by constantly being helpful. It's not your responsibility to carry the weight of a one-sided connection. And it is absolutely not your role to be the backup plan for people who vanish until it's convenient. True friendships, they're not built on convenience. They're built on presence, effort, and mutual care. Here's what I've learned, the hard way. When you stop being overly available, you start seeing who was never truly present. And yeah, it stings. It always does at first. You'll lose people. But what you gain is so much more powerful. Peace. Self-respect. A circle that doesn't demand constant performance just to earn love. Have you ever had someone treat you like a convenience store? Pop in, grab what they need, and disappear. Drop your stories in the comments. Let's air it out. Let's heal out loud. Constant one-upping. Now let's shift gears and talk about something that turns every conversation into a competition. Constant one-upping, the Olympic sport of insecurity disguised as friendly banter. Let's just call it out. Have you ever shared something you were proud of, only to feel like you'd accidentally joined a contest you never signed up for? You say, "Hey, I started running." Again, did a 5K last weekend. They hit back with, "Oh, that's cute. I ran a marathon while fasting in Patagonia, barefoot." Cool story, Goliath. Meanwhile, I was just proud I didn't pass out at mile 2. Here's the controversial truth. One-uppers are everywhere. And most of them, they have no idea they're doing it. Let's be brutally honest. Some of your friends, co-workers, even family, are compulsive one-uppers. They're so addicted to being seen, admired, and impressive that they hijack every conversation. You're trying to share, they're trying to outperform, and the worst part, they don't share to connect. They share to compete. Why is that toxic? Because if I can't tell you something joyful, exciting, or vulnerable without you instantly trying to top it, that's not a conversation. That's emotional narcissism. Let's call it what it is. You say, "I just got promoted." They say, "Oh wow, I was offered 2 promotions last year but turned them down for something bigger." You say, "I'm struggling mentally this week." They say, "Well, back in 2016, I literally died inside for 6 months and came back stronger." You say, "I finally paid off my student loan." They say, "That's great. I paid mine off in 9 months." It's all about discipline. At some point, you just want to say, "Do you ever just listen? It's insecurity, wearing Gucci." Here's the deep-cut truth that few want to admit. People who constantly one-up you, they're usually carrying a weight you can't see. Beneath all that bravado and competition is deep, unresolved insecurity. They don't feel enough unless they're better than you at something. Anything. And the saddest part, most of the time it's not even malicious. It's reflexive, a default setting wired by old wounds, by growing up in homes where achievement equaled love, or where being seen meant outperforming others. So their internal dialogue sounds like this. If I'm not winning, I'm invisible. But let's be clear, that is not your burden to carry. Let me tell you about my old roommate, we'll call him Dylan. Every time I shared something personal, something I was proud of, Dylan had to one-up it. I said, "Hey man, I finally hit my goal weight after 3 months of clean eating." He replied, "Bro, I did that in 6 weeks without even trying. Genetics, you know." I said, "I'm learning Spanish on the side." He said, "Yeah, I'm brushing up on my 4th language, just keeping the brain sharp." I said, "I might go solo traveling this summer." He said, "Oh, I already did 3 continents alone last year. Changed me completely." At first, I gave him the benefit of the doubt. Maybe he was just excited, just sharing. But over time, something started to sink in. Every conversation left me feeling smaller, diminished, like my wins weren't enough. Eventually, I stopped sharing. And when the sharing stopped, so did the friendship. Because here's the thing, if you can't let me have my moment without needing to steal it, we don't have a friendship. We have a rivalry, one I never signed up for. Let's laugh at the absurdity of it for a second. Ever met someone who treats your good news like the warm-up act for their headline performance? You say, "I got a new car." They respond, "Oh nice, I just bought one too, with autopilot, massage seats, and a built-in espresso maker." Yours doesn't do that. Weird. It's not a conversation. It's a humble brag hostage situation. At that point, I just start clapping. "Congrats, man, you win. What do you want, a trophy or therapy?" You can call it out, playfully but directly. "Damn, you always gotta one-up me, huh?" Say it with a smile. Watch them squirm, and then share less. If someone can't hold space for you, stop handing them your energy. Save it for people who actually celebrate you, not compete with you. Or better yet, flip the script. Next time they flex, ask, "That's cool. But how did you feel when that happened?" That little question, it derails the brag train. It pulls them out of performance mode and into emotional reality. Most one-uppers tap out when things get real. Because here's the bottom line. Choose silence over smallness. If you keep walking, away from conversations feeling invisible, you're in the wrong rooms. Here's the deep message. Not every stage needs a performer. You deserve friends who don't just let you shine. You deserve friends who hold up the light. The one-upper? They're not bad people, they're just people who never learned how to feel worthy in stillness. But that doesn't mean you need to stick around to carry their ego. Let it go. You're allowed to take up space. And speaking of taking up space, let's talk about something else that happens when people don't know how to manage their emotions with care. You've worked for your wins. You've bled for your breakthroughs. You've grown through grit, not gimmicks. And if someone can't let you hold that moment, can't celebrate with you without hijacking it, then it's time they go be the main character in someone else's story. Because here we clap for each other. We pause, we celebrate. And we don't need to one-up anyone to matter. Ever had a Mr. Me Too in your life? Drop your one-upper horror stories in the comments. I read every single one. Now let's shift gears. Because we need to talk about another behavior that's just as draining, but wears a different mask. Emotional dumping. Let's draw a line in the sand. Trauma sharing is not the same thing as intimacy. Vulnerability and violation, not interchangeable. Picture this. You're just vibing, maybe sipping coffee, talking about a show you've started watching, casually scrolling. Then, boom, out of nowhere, someone drops a trauma nuke on you. "Hey, I know we haven't talked in a while, but I just really need to vent. My ex cheated on me with my therapist. My cat died. I'm spiraling. Can you talk right now?" and you're sitting there with your oat milk latte like, we haven't spoken since 2022. Here's the controversial truth. Not every emotional outburst is brave. Some of them, they're just boundaryless. Vulnerability can be powerful, but vulnerability without consent is just emotional trespassing. And I know that might sound harsh. But let's be honest. When someone dumps their unprocessed pain on you without asking, that's not connection, it's emotional offloading. When they share their trauma with someone who isn't prepared or qualified to hold it, it's not healing. It's projected chaos. Let's call it what it is. Emotional flash bombing. You ever have that friend who treats every hangout like a therapy session? Except you're not the therapist. You're just the unlucky passenger on this psychological roller coaster. You say, "Hey, how's your week been?" They say, "Honestly, I'm just trying not to jump off a bridge." Like, whoa, we were in the shallow end. Now I'm suddenly in the Mariana Trench with no oxygen tank. Let me get real for a second. There was a time when I was posting a lot of healing and mindset content online, stoicism, growth, personal resilience, and at first, it felt great. People connected. But soon the DMs started flooding in, messages like, "Hey, we've never met, but I saw your post and it reminded me of when I was abused by my stepfather. And then had a miscarriage. And now my partner is an addict and I feel like dying. Can you help?" I don't say this with judgment. I say it with compassion and boundaries. I wasn't okay. I couldn't hold all that. I never said I could. I didn't have the tools. I wasn't their therapist. I wasn't even their friend. I was just a stranger. They decided to emotionally exhale on because I looked safe. Let's break this down. People emotionally dump for a few reasons. They never learn to process pain privately. They think sharing is healing, even if it's with someone unequipped. They confuse connection with chaos. If it feels dramatic, it must be deep. They were taught emotions equal love, so the messier it is, the more they'll be cared for. Spoiler, not true. Sometimes they just want validation, not solutions. And that's okay, but say that up front, because ambushing someone emotionally without warning, even if unintentional, it's manipulative. And hey, let's be a little light. For a second, we all have that one friend. The one who treats you like Google Drive for their emotional baggage. You know that friend. The one who treats you like Google Drive for their emotional baggage. Let's finish this conversation right there. Because here's the thing. When you casually say, "Hey, want to grab lunch?" and they respond, "I cried for 4 hours, screamed at my boss, and now I'm spiraling. Can we talk?" You're left thinking, I meant sushi. Or worse, they choose the most inappropriate moments to trauma dump. At a party, in the team Slack channel, or during your mum's birthday dinner. 1 minute you're eating cake, the next you're hosting an impromptu TED Talk on their existential crisis. Here's the bottom line. Vulnerability requires permission. Dumping your emotions on someone isn't inherently wrong, but doing it without consent, that's where the line gets crossed, because emotional safety flows both ways. Before you unload your pain on someone, ask yourself, did they agree to hold this? Are they emotionally available? Right now? Is this the right time, the right space, or am I just desperate not to feel alone? And on the flip side, if someone dumps on you and it doesn't feel okay, you have every right to say, "I can't hold this right now." That's not cold. That's not heartless. That's emotional maturity. So how do you protect yourself without becoming a jerk? Set boundaries early. "Hey, I care about you, but I'm not in a space to hold heavy stuff right now." Redirect compassionately. That sounds intense. Have you talked to a professional about it? Offer presence, not pressure. "I can listen for 10 minutes, but I want to be honest. I might not be the best person to help." And here's the deepest truth. Stop rescuing people just to feel valuable. You are not a sponge for other people's storms, because connection without boundaries is just chaos. Look, I'm all for honesty. I'm all for being raw and real. But vulnerability is sacred, not transactional, not dumped, not forced. It's meant to be shared with care, not hurled in desperation. And if someone truly values you, they'll respect your emotional space the same way you respect theirs. You are not a garbage bin for trauma. You are not a free therapist on demand. You are a whole, sensitive, growing human being, and you deserve reciprocity. You deserve consent. You deserve emotional clarity. Ever had someone emotionally dump on you without asking? Or maybe you've been that person before. No shame, we've all been there. Let's talk about it. Share your stories in the comments. Tell me about the awkward conversations, the times you held space when you shouldn't have, or the moment you finally said, "Nope, not today." Let's normalize boundaries. Let's stop pretending these behaviors are okay. Let's stop calling it connection when it's really boundary breaking in disguise. Here's the bottom line: you are not a dumping ground. You are not a therapist with unlimited hours. You are absolutely allowed to protect your peace without guilt, without apology, without justification. Because emotional maturity isn't just about being open. It's about knowing when to open, to whom and how much. And if that ruffles a few feathers, so be it, let them squawk. You're not here to carry everyone else's chaos at the cost of your own calm. If this resonated with you, if you've ever felt overwhelmed, unseen, or emotionally ambushed, just know this: you are not alone. That's why I make these videos. That's why we talk about the uncomfortable, the honest, and yeah, sometimes the controversial. Drop your reflections in the comments. I want to hear your story. And if you're ready to level up your mindset, strengthen your boundaries, and grow your emotional intelligence, subscribe to Stoic Havenway and check out the free newsletter linked below. Every Sunday, I send out practical lessons, honest truths, and deep reflections to help you live stronger, wiser, and more centered, without the noise. And if you're a brand looking to reach this beautifully self-aware, no BS audience, you know where to find me. Until next time, honor your energy, protect your peace, and remember, vulnerability should feel sacred, not sloppy. Thanks for being here. Peace.